Say you're getting bullied at work and you want your employer to do something about it. How do you actually get them to pay attention? Here is the process to follow that shows your employer that you mean business and you expect them to take it seriously as well. The first thing you want to do is find your grievance procedures. Now this is either going to be in your employee handbook, or if you don't have an employee handbook, then Google ACAS Code of Practice for Grievances. All UK companies have to follow that as a minimum. Once you have that, you will understand the process that your employer is required to follow for any grievance or complaint. Now that formula is generally pretty standard. It generally starts with an informal complaint, which can just be verbal, and then it moves on to a formal complaint, which is typically written, and then they have to investigate, come back with an answer, and then you have the right to appeal. That is almost always the standard grievance process, and that's what you're going to use to the letter to show your employer that you understand what their obligations are and what the rules are. So, how do you do the grievance? So first, it is worth raising the problem informally if it's not an absolutely terrible problem that's really acute. So mentioning it to your boss, for example, in a catch-up or a one-to-one, and saying, I feel like I'm being bullied, this is the situation that I'm in, and giving them the opportunity to resolve it. Make sure that you take note of what you said and what they said in that meeting. Record the time and date of the meeting, where it happened, absolutely everything, and keep that for later. If they don't do anything about it, then you move on to step 2. Step 2 is a formal grievance, and that really is just a letter. So there are templates. We have one on our site. There are other templates available online for you to be able to write out a grievance letter. But fundamentally, what you want to lay out is what has happened, what you would like your employer to do about it, and what you have done so far to try and resolve the situation. If your employer is smart, they'll be looking at this formal grievance and assessing what legal or reputational risk they now have. So they might be saying, for example, is this bullying happening because of discrimination, or is this a potential constructive dismissal claim? And hopefully they'll deal with it there and then. They will also be investigating the matter. They have to do that as part of the grievance procedure, and they have to come back with a formal answer. If you don't like the answer, you can appeal. And often bigger companies will then put out the appeal to a third-party investigator to try and kind of keep it neutral. As you're going through this process, the key thing to do is make sure that you are documenting every single step, everything that everyone said and where and when they said it, and making sure that your employer knows that you're doing that. Because what you're signaling is that they do have potential legal liability. You could be building a case. You don't even have to say it. They just understand it from your actions. And that helps them to take it seriously and try and get it resolved for you.